Welcome back to Bust Picks. It is episode 62. My name is Dio Reynoso. That is Donovan Bien.
How we doing?
Wrestlemania happened. Woo! We got the draft this weekend.
Yeah.
That's going to be our main two topics. We're going to show you our mock drafts today. We're going to talk about all the hot points of Wrestlemania and, of course, give you our bust and pick of the week.
Yep.
But before we start, Donovan, fact of the day?
Fact of the day. Your favorite guy's making another appearance here for our fact of the day. Your favorite NFL player of all time, Derrick Henry.
Oh, no.
Derrick Henry is the only football player in American history that I've been able to find that has a 2,000-yard rushing season at all three levels of football: high school, college, and pro. He's the only player to have a 2,000-yard rushing season in all three levels, and accumulating all his total yards of his entire amateur and professional career. He's nearly at 30,000 rushing yards. There's quarterbacks who haven't even hit 30,000 passing yards.
O.J. Simpson?
I don't think O.J. got it in high school.
No, he got it in high school. He had to have gotten, maybe not.
2,000 in a single season. Remember, high school season's only like 14, 13 games.
Yeah, it's 10 games regular season and then 4 postseason games.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he did 2,000 yards in the NFL in 14 games.
That's true, but I don't think O.J. put up...
They do like to bury all the O.J. Simpson stats. Believe it or not, and I know it's crazy, the NFL's not too keen on showing you what O.J. Simpson did in the NFL.
That's true. I mean...
Heisman winner at USC.
Yeah.
I think he ran for 2,000 yards. Back then, you had to run for 2,000 yards.
You kind of had to.
But, like, I'm not sure. That's just my guess.
O.J. Simpson played high school football. His career high was 1,700 yards.
Shout out to Derrick Henry. Of course it was
Galileo High School in San Francisco for O.J.
Do you think that there's a conversation about Derrick Henry possibly being the greatest running back of the 2010s?
I think that's a very easy conversation just because of the longevity and sustained height that he's had.
Do you think his 2010s has been better than Saquon Barkley's?
I think so. I think Saquon is a better pure athlete.
Yes.
But I think his time on the Giants trapping him for so long is going to lead into a what if.
I don't think he can what if he has 3 good years. If he has 3 good years with the Eagles, he had enough good years with the Giants where we're like, yep, that's a Hall of Famer.
No, he's a Hall of Fame. I'm not arguing that.
He's a Hall of Famer yet, but yeah.
Yeah, if he has 3 more seasons like he did last year. I'm saying to put him above other running backs.
Right now,
as the number one, the Giants are going his time in the Giants handicap him severely.
This is a little off topic, but we're here. If Derrick Henry goes for 1,100 yards.
Sure.
I wouldn't say it's a disappointing season, but
it is for what is projected.
And then like the decline starts to happen very quickly. Do you think Derrick Henry ends up in the Hall of Fame?
I think he has to at this point. Like
really?
I think he has the statistical profile to get him there. And the fact that 1,100 yards and what is he, 31?
Yeah. He's a big boy.
The 31, where most running backs fall off at 27, 28.
Yeah, 28 is like the death sentence.
And he's doing it 3 years later and could still put up 1,000 yards.
He rarely gets hurt. He's been very consistent.
Yeah, he has more touchdowns since 2015 than any other running back.
He has no like sign of slowing down.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if
Have you seen his workouts?
Don,
they're still insane.
I don't see anything Derrick Henry does. He's blocked on all profiles.
It's up there with like Myles Garrett level. Like these dudes are just addicted.
He could have gotten traded and I didn't know because I've exiled him out of my life. He's no longer a figure in my life. Let's get into some WrestleMania talk. It's wrestling's biggest night.
Yeah. Wrestling's biggest week. Wrestle Week.
It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Before that.
What?
Because you still have other wrestling companies are in town Wednesday.
NXT.
You have WWE Hall of Fame night is Wednesday night.
Gotcha.
They have events building up to it, like NXT fights on Tuesday. Like they have so much building up to. Other companies come to town and are doing things before and after.
Kind of got Super Bowl week vibes.
Exactly. But it's it doesn't go Monday through Sunday. It's like a Tuesday to Tuesday.
So you're a guy that you went to the Saturday night.
Yeah, I went day one and Friday night and Saturday night.
How was it? Was it the greatest day of your life?
Incredible. I got to do so much there. NXT Stand and Deliver, Obafemi, Was a great match for the title there. The women's ladder match was insane. WrestleMania, obviously, just having that kind of energy was like so much fun to see.
I remember you woke up early to go do all those early matches, like watch all the early matches.
10 a.m. pay-per-views.
By the time like WrestleMania came at like 4 o'clock, was it?
Doors opened at 3. First match was at 4.
Were you like a little tired? What was the vibe
I was
there?
still like I started fading a little bit, like because it was Stand and Deliver was a 2-hour show. I stayed up the night before to watch.
You're also in Vegas, it's hot. Like it's
it was actually nice. It was cool. It was cooler. It was cooler. Friday night, I got into town right when SmackDown was starting, so I got to go to a watch party for that. With the What Culture, like I ended up at the Luxor for the What Culture watch party for it. Ended up running to go see another indie show for the independent. I forgot who was. I think it was the WWE up and coming. So it's like below NXT.
it's like their double A ball.
Exactly. It's like guys who are just barely starting, but it's fun to see. Then NXT the next morning, WrestleMania, Insane Clown Posse put on a wrestling show Saturday night.
Shut up! How was that?
That was
you
wild.
didn't tell me that at all.
No, that was a midnight show. That was something crazy.
Shout out to the Gigolo.
Yeah, so that was just like crazy back to back.
So WrestleMania night 1, you get there.
Yeah.
It opens. What's the crowd like? What's the environment like?
That crowd was so hot the entire time.
Popped immediately.
People were like popped immediately, excited. Like we did a whole standing ovation for Triple H when he first came out to like welcome everybody.
Fans love Triple H.
He has modernized, like this modern era of wrestling is a renaissance under him.
How many more years till we start turning on Triple H? 10?
I think if they keep the relationships alive that they have, because the WWE used to be very insular. Now that they took over, they bought out AAA in Mexico.
They're making deals with everybody.
They are. The door is open, and AEW has their door open. If we ever get to a point of WWE and AEW even just talking or like more openly referencing each other, I think no fan will turn on Triple H. Like the storylines may fade a little bit, but like the long-term fans are going to go.
Unites all the kingdoms under one roof. Didn't Vince McMahon kind of do that though? Like
Vince bought every kingdom.
That's what I'm
There's
saying,
a difference.
like-
I don't think Triple H, because when you hear about these older guys who are
WWE's
involved,
buying other big companies.
they just bought over AAA, who was struggling financially.
Yeah.
And their big thing was WWE has now become the home of luchador wrestling. Like TNA doesn't have too many left. AAA just got rid of Penta and Phoenix, who just popped up in WWE.
Who are huge stars.
Huge stars now treated that way, like two of the best tag wrestlers of all time. I think the idea of we have like WWE going, we have some of the greatest luchadors of all time. We have Rey Mysterio still here. We should we want to have that connection still. Like that is a direct pipeline to what we're trying to do.
Guy too.
El Grande Americano, greatest luchador of all time.
White man.
Dude, that match.
Good match.
Was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to watch it live, so I missed out on all the commentary, and I missed out on all from where I was sitting. You can't hear them really talking to each other.
They don't play it over the speakers or anything.
No, they don't. So it is just fans locked in, chanting nonstop at what the action is.
Do you feel like you missed some of the elements in it?
I went back and rewatched night 1 just because I do know that I missed some of the Michael Cole gives a lot of great information. Like Wade Barrett's a great announcer, so you do miss things.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to a football game, you're not going to get everything.
Yeah, you're not going to get all the stats and all that stuff. Yeah. Yes, so it was worth rewatching for me,
but not to a point where you're like, I can't watch. I can't go back to a live event.
No. The live event. No, it is so much excitement. Like that was the first time I've seen a crowd of over nearly 70,000 people locked in on the same thing. So that was so exciting to be a part of.
I want to recap night 1 in a way that is productive and isn't just.
Well, the reductive take that a lot of people are taking right now was night 1 was bad but saved by the main event.
Correct.
And that is to me is a very reductive take.
I agree. And then the other side of it is night 2 was all really good fights, and then the final fight was really disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't even agree with that. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think it was good across the board, and there were 3 spectacular fights. It's just a shame that some of those spectacular fights weren't the big ones.
Yeah. No, night 1 I think had It was a lot more technical. It wasn't as big, like flashy moments.
It felt like night one was for the purists.
Yes.
I feel like, I mean, we talk about this a lot. We literally just watched a video on it. Wrestling, it needs, every piece of entertainment is now in a clip culture.
Yes.
That's what we're in now.
That's where media consumes.
It felt like night one, they were like, no, this is kind of for the fans that grind our WWE content, that are like, hey, not every single thing is going to be the biggest, oh, this wrestler came out of nowhere, is running from the stands, or oh, look at this crazy surprise, or look at this backlash. No, it was just good wrestling and like good endings to storylines that WWE fans really, really enjoy.
Yeah, no, basically, I think the only major kind of swerve that ended up coming up was Friday Night SmackDown. Rey Mysterio was confirmed Saturday morning, tore his groin.
Yeah.
So they had to bring in Rey Fenix to fill in essentially against El Grande Americano. So that, I guess, was a last minute substitution change in what the plan was going to be for that match.
Which is why a lot of people think he won that match, because I think it was going to be Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio was supposed to win that one and unmask El Grande Americano.
Probably just push it down to
they're going to move it to Backlash most likely and get some kind of build out of this.
Fine, it'll be a huge pop then.
Exactly, it will be. And I did like the tongue-in-cheek joke of this being, everyone knows it's Chad Gable. Michael Cole's saying it's Chad Gable.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's in on the joke that they're like, this guy's making a mockery of it.
If luchador wrestling.
But like, we're supposed to hate him.
And that's the point. Like, we're supposed to hate him. But hearing the entire crowd, like WrestleMania crowds are very different than any other wrestling show. Because the fans that go there are the most locked in on what the storylines are, most locked in on what's going on. So the reactions,
it's their show. They're going to watch a season finale
of
a show that they watch
year round,
hours into. They should be passionate.
Well, it's not just the passion, but it's the idea of what reactions they give aren't always the reactions you're going to get week to week. And that's something that needs to be taken into account at times, because like hearing on Monday Night Raw, them cheering John Cena and booing Cody Rhodes. That's not the reaction you're going to get in every city.
Yeah.
But out of the hardcores, we know what the story is, so we're buying in and we're applauding the story, not the character arc at that moment.
The story's why I like WWE. I like that they're like, it's all about the story, it's all about the narrative, and that's what I'm into.
No, I completely agree.
Night one ends on one of the coolest fights I've ever seen.
One of the greatest swerves of all time.
So it's Roman Reigns.
Yes.
It's CM Punk and it's Seth Rollins. They're all in this 3-way fight match with Paul
Heyman.
Paul Heyman's on like he's torn because these are his 3 boys. These are his guys. He's entering with CM Punk, who has one of the coolest entrances. I think probably the best entrance second best entrance in all of WrestleMania this year.
I'd agree. He had one of the best ones. Cult of Personality being played live is awesome to see.
You liked the Roman Reigns.
I like the Roman Reigns.
What they do?
It was something that was, I think it lost a little bit on the TV broadcast, but like a big shine light was shown on it live with all the cards that were hanging out, hanging from the rafters that were rotating the wrestlers' faces. They brought every time someone did an entrance, it would show highlights of them.
Yeah.
When they brought down the ones behind Roman, they only did it for him as like laying them down as he walked past them on the entrance ramp. It showed his entire family lineage.
That's so cool.
And I think that is adding such an extra layer to his story and where he's going. I love the homage there.
Electric entrances. That's another big reason that
Seth Rollins coming out with the flamethrower.
That's what I'm saying. So that match starts at an all-time. You're like, oh, this is hype. CM Punk, the bell rings. CM Punk is literally standing there like oozing excitement because he's like, this is my shot.
First WrestleMania main event for him ever.
That's what I'm saying. And he Paul Heyman's on his side and he's like genuinely like, hey, I got a shot here. No, we're wrestling fans. There was no world CM Punk was winning that match.
It was interesting. The betting odds had it very close. No fan, like from when I was talking to people around, like in between matches when we're like conversing, no one really knew who was going to win this one for sure. And I think that was one of the best story elements you could have.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I did think it was like Seth Rollins to lose. And if they really wanted to go crazy, Paul Heyman was going to have to do something to help CM Punk.
Yes. Which would make sense because he's done it before.
Correct. And then we get to the point where Paul Heyman has the chair and he's looking at Roman hurt and CM Punk hurt, and he slides it to CM Punk, and then he betrays him, and then gives it to Roman, begs for Roman. Roman puts down CM Punk, and at the last second before he can put down Seth Rollins,
gives him another low blow.
Gives him a low blow in the biggest betrayal of this decade of wrestling.
So this was a 10-year anniversary of Seth Rollins cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase against Roman and Brock Lesnar in their main event 10 years ago. That was during
the Shield, right? Or the Shield had just ended?
Shield was just ending.
Gotcha.
Roman was still coming out in his Shield gear at that time. So 10-year anniversary of Seth screwing over Roman in the main event for the title, and he screws over Roman again.
Beautiful.
Great storytelling.
Yeah.
Absolutely magnificent. Only added on by Monday Night Raw. CM comes out to confront Seth and Paul Heyman. Roman comes out to confront them. Everyone gets into a scrap. Paul Heyman takes a Superman punch. Roman takes a spear, and a hooded figure comes out of the crowd. Braun Breaker comes and just levels Roman with one of the greatest super spears of all time.
Really?
Levels CM Punk. He is a part of the Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins faction. They're setting up a 3-man faction to replace the Bloodline now because those things work.
So what's it going to be? Roman and CM Punk on
it? So that's what next Monday's most likely going to be, or Backlash's tag match is Roman and CM Punk versus Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins.
That'd be electric.
It's going to be a great tag match. I think it's interfered and they get cheated out. My gut is Jeff Cobb, who just got released, or his contract just got up on Saturday for New Japan. I think he makes an appearance. I don't think, like I said, Jeff Cobb's just a beast. I'm trying to think of who else would be like the heavy. He is a absolute animal. Like he's one of those power lifter, just built like a brick house.
Not my guys.
But they need a heavy. That's the tradition. Is they need like
guys.
They need
Those
a big dude.
Boys, yeah.
Like Bloodline had Solo Sikoa. There's always some kind of like enforcer role.
I sent you a text while you were there.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that text was? There was one fight, not the Charlotte Flair one. The Charlotte Flair one, I thought
that was pretty technically good. Tiffany Stratton, it looked great out there. Charlotte is one of the best technical wrestlers in the WWE. Hate her storyline, hate how they treat her as a character, just giving her wins constantly.
Yeah.
Tiffany getting the upset was great, even though she was champion.
You want to talk about the Flair family name right now?
Yeah, I think Ric Flair having one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, seeing Charlotte lose and John Cena getting the title to break the tie, go over Ric Flair in all-time world championship records.
Is this the most unsubtle middle finger in the game?
No, because it makes sense for the story. Gotcha. It all makes sense for the story. None of it was going after Flair in that way.
I sent you a text Saturday after watching a fight, and all I said was Fatu is real.
Jacob Fatu LA Knight was, I think, a little too short of a match. I would like to see go a little bit longer. Fatu is a beast. One of the best blunt force traumas I've seen in a Fatu going for the moonsault. LA Knight just basically catching him, slamming him.
That's big boy fighting.
Yes.
That I like.
That is big men slapping man meat.
Fatu is electric.
Yes.
He's dynamic, and he doesn't have to say anything for me to be completely immersed in his character.
He looks like one of the most legit guys on the roster.
No, I
in a good way. Like he is.
I
think he's contending for world title in a year and a half.
Yeah, I put him up in there in the Kevin Owens like area where I'm like, this is a guy who will have a couple titles here and there. Yeah. I don't think he'll ever be the face of what he is, but he will be on this roster for a long time. Yeah. And a good addition to it.
The way he comes out is he looks like a threat immediately.
I just don't want him to rush his character to make him something that he's not. I want them to continue what's working.
Yeah, go slow with the Samoan werewolf.
That's a theme that I'm going to have later too.
Sure.
With some other fighters on this roster that WrestleMania might have botched a little for me.
Yeah. Shout out New Day for their first heel turn.
Paid off.
Yeah, it paid off. They kept the titles. I still am amazed by the War Raiders. I think 300-pound men should not be able to do cartwheels as effortlessly as those guys do.
They're fun guys to watch, but New Day is the best tag team
of all time
in WWE.
I think them, Dudley's, Hardys, Edge and Christian, maybe all time.
Hardys are kind of a cheat code.
Hardys are a cheat code because it was they kind of invented where modern tag team. Well, them and the Dudleys.
Yeah, I don't know who the Dudleys are.
We have some history to get into. Oh my!
Are they electric?
Incredible,
I like the electric guys. I like the guys that are like the tag team matches that are actively pushing the boundaries of like, here's what two men can do together. That's what I like.
I need to show you WrestleMania. I want to say 12, 17, and 21.
I love it. Let's get into day 2. Day 2, there's a guy I love.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that everybody in wrestling loves. And when you say his name and he appears, you start to believe. And Joe Hendry shows up.
And immediately eats an RKO.
And that's fine.
That is so amazing.
It was one of the best moments of the night.
Yeah.
I don't see how the WWE can't see what Joe Hendry did and say, oh, this guy needs to be on a roster, throw all the money at him. That's a guy that should be on Cody Rhodes' level. To me,
he will be. He is currently the TNA World Champion.
Mm-hmm.
He is under contract there for still, like, I think I want to say like another 4 or 5 years.
no way. That's disappointing.
And he was one of the big reasons why WWE has that agreement with TNA for guys to go back and forth. Is they recognize if we get more of our younger people in there, it's a great experience, great learning curve for them. And TNA has Nick Nemeth, who did leave WWE, as Dolph Ziggler is an all-timer. The Hardy Boys are in TNA, so that you get to bring them back occasionally whenever you want to.
Come in and say hi.
And you have Joe Hendry. Like, I think it's a great working relationship. Hendry's on NXT already. He was talking smack to Trick Williams and Obafemi for their title, so they may do a title versus title down there, which will be great to see.
So he's going to end up kind of being a part-timer? Like,
He's going to be a full-time TNA, part-time WWE.
that's what I'm saying. Like a part-time, like big events. Get ready for Joe Hendry, because that's the second reveal this year, right? Because he came out in the Royal Rumble and this.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be consistent. The only reason he came out in this was Kevin Owens does need neck surgery.
Yeah, so they had like 2 weeks to replace him.
And he was already in town.
If it wasn't Joe Hendry, who would you have liked to see?
My bias is I think Karrion Kross is an easy plug-in just because I think the guy can go. You had
fan support now too.
Yeah, you got the fans getting behind him now with the Logan Paul, AJ Styles storyline going there. Honestly, with Randy, considering the level Randy's at right now, there was not too many top stars you could pair with him. So you needed somebody on that caliber, and there just wasn't too many that were freed up because everyone else is already paired up.
Yeah, everybody's already locked in, and they're like, all right, we've been working on what we're going to do for the last 3 weeks. They've been doing promos for a while now.
Yeah. I think if you brought in a legend, you could have brought in a legend that could still go, like RVD versus Orton would have been interesting. RVD still has legs under him.
Wouldn't have popped for me. I think the Joe Hendry thing got the new people and
got the younger audiences, definitely.
And like, that's a viral moment. Him turning around, doing the smile, then getting RKO'd into oblivion. That's one of the best nights. That's one of the best moments of the night.
Oh, easily.
And to me, the best entrance of the weekend.
One of. That was a fun one. That was a really fun one.
The best one. I have one other thing I want to talk about before we get into the main event.
Sure.
It is Dom Mysterio.
That was a great 4-way match. Like, these guys are like just magicians in the ring. Penta, I think, is an all-time already with his innovation. Braun is a freak. Like, he has the Steiner genes in him, but he somehow is, I think, better than his uncle and his dad.
He's very good.
Like, he is.
I think he's going to be a staple in WWE for a really, really long time.
Oh, and I'm excited to see it.
Dom Mysterio
pinning Finn Balor
is a superstar.
Yeah. Oh, he has a Mysterio name. He knows how to act. Like, the fact that he ties into Eddie more than anybody right now.
He's become full babyface. People cheer for him and they hate him. I hope they don't turn him into a full face. I want him to still kind of keep that edge.
Yeah, keep the dirty Dom.
But he's so damn likable. When I watch him, and I know this is going to be a weird comparison, I kind of get like Tony Stark, Iron Man. Not like he's the smartest, just kind of like the bravado and like the silliness of him. And you're like, I don't know if I should be taking this guy too seriously. And then you're like, oh, wait, this guy's actually really good at what he's doing. And I was a guy who's very critical of Dom Mysterio's wrestling abilities very early on.
Yeah. I mean, when he first was tagging with his dad, like when he first came in, there he still had a lot to learn. Like, he had the big moves, but it was the small details that he was still working on.
This is the WrestleMania that made me go, oh no, he's ready.
Yes.
He's I don't know if he's ready to fight Finn Balor like you want him to.
I think Backlash will be, because he pinned Balor, for those who don't know, to win the IC title. I think with Braun pairing up with Seth Rollins, Braun is clearly going to move into the main event scene for a little while.
Absolutely.
Or be an enforcer up there. Maybe he comes back down to win his title in a couple months. Penta's going to pair off with his brother and do tag matches, which I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the tag title scene. Finn Balor and Dom breaking up the Judgment Day, using it at Backlash, May 10th on a Saturday. I think that will be the end of the Judgment Day, because even on Monday Night Raw, has happened. Monday night, they had a rematch of Penta. They already did the Penta versus Dom rematch, and Finn Balor got involved. JD McDonough came back from his punctured lung, which thank goodness he's back. It's great to see him back. The entire Judgment Day got involved there. This only makes sense that the next step is to break him.
I think Judgment Day is ready to be done. I think it went probably about a year too long.
They have definitely stretched it out. I think this sets up Finn to finally get to go solo on his own completely and get the demon back. Like, I want them to finally do right on the demon character persona that he has.
You really like Finn Balor. I'm not a Finn Balor guy. I like Damian Priest. I like Rhea Ripley, and I like Dom. You know, I think they're a really good group. I just think they're each collective characters have kind of taken them away from what Judgment Day used to be.
Yeah, it definitely did a little bit. Speaking of Damian Priest, the Drew McIntyre fight was great for the street fight. McIntyre stays an all-time troll.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if you saw the selfie he took.
Back-to-back years, yeah.
Yeah, still bored at work to post it.
Fire.
Mwah.
Yeah. I think, like we talked about, viral moments is huge. I think that one fell a little more flat for me personally.
The match or that moment of him taking the picture?
That moment in the match. I usually like Damian Priest a lot. It was the big guys doing the big guy thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an easy pop for most of the time. Those guys are going to be main eventers. It's fun just to watch them run.
Main event.
Yes.
John Cena, Cody Rhodes. This is kind of what we hyped it up to be. I know we talked about it where people were kind of disappointed. I rewatched it with you. I didn't think it was as bad as people were making it out to seem.
The match itself wasn't that bad.
It was good.
That was the point. Was Cena was I think there's two different theories here.
Yeah.
One was they're protecting Cena because ring rust.
They have to.
And they have to. He's getting older. Or two, that was intentionally not meant to be a good match.
You don't think it was a good match?
I think from when Travis Scott came out, it was no longer a good match. Not because of Travis Scott.
Not that part. Before
that, it was good. It was setting up. There was a lot of specific moments. I think it was a average match.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah. And then I was expecting the finish to ramp up to this is going to bite and mean something.
I think their finish fell flat because they were banking, and this is the whole Logan Paul thing that we've talked about WWE, which seems to be the biggest issue for WWE fans, which is like, hey, I know you're bringing in these stars from outside of the sport. It's clear that those stars, as much as they want to give it the love and respect it deserves, they will never really truly get the love and respect from the fans because they don't sweat and grind like they watch these guys sweat and grind on every single card throughout an entire year.
I don't mind the sweat and grind as much.
Yeah.
If you could see that there's the love and passion behind it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm forgetting the actor's name, the one who played Green Arrow.
I don't remember his name, but he was into it because he was also getting paid to do a wrestling show.
Yeah, he was also doing the wrestling show,
Yeah.
but he trained outside of it, hung out with the guys, went week for week.
Yeah.
Actually took a title for a little bit.
Cared a little bit more.
Like, you could tell that he had a love for the sport that carried through.
Yeah.
And like that's the biggest thing. Is like, I won't criticize if you take a minor role and you could tell that there's a lot of effort and love in what you're doing.
You don't feel like Travis Scott gave effort and love?
I don't think Travis Scott... Like,
Did you hear how many times they played Fiend?
That got annoying in the arena. People were getting mad. Like, that was such an annoying song.
He's the biggest touring hip-hop artist now.
I believe
it's
it.
Crazy.
Yeah, the song was just annoying. And it doesn't seem like it seems like he's out there to play the role, but it's not because he wants to be a part of wrestling.
You said something during the end of that match that I was like, oh, I didn't expect you to say that. And you said, man, I'm jealous of Travis Scott once he took
when he took the crossroads. Because I'm like, that's where I'm upset a little bit is if you're a hardcore, like not even a hardcore, if you're a fan of wrestling, to be on stage to take a finisher from one of the all-time guys
on main event Sunday of WrestleMania.
I was.
They don't just literally. Yeah. A handful of people have ever gotten that, let alone people that aren't wrestlers.
Like, I don't care if it's main event, like WrestleMania. I would love to take a crossroads from Cody Rhodes.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, just on a random Wednesday outside of Denny's. Like, that's fine. Like, that's a all-time moment for me. I hope that's not lost on Travis Scott. I think the conspiracy theory I've seen, and I say conspiracy in quotes, the theory I've seen is the match ended flat on purpose.
Why? So that way they can build to something later?
No, because it was so Cena cut a promo Monday night and basically just like bluntly told the fans, I have 36 days signed up for 2025. And he counted down what shows he's appeared on since 2025 started. And he goes, I have 27 dates left. And he made a big emphasis of saying, I don't have to wrestle. I just have to show up for 27 and I can go home.
Yeah, he's very much said like, I'm going to take this championship with me.
Yeah. And I think if you look at it from that perspective of him going, screw the fans, I'm taking my ball and leaving, that finish makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not him doing a big flashy moment. It's not him trying to put on a great show. It's quickest way just to get out of there.
It was him begging for his life.
It was, but it makes sense that he begged just to low blow because it works. And he told Cody coming into this build, you're going to have to choose to be a hero or to win.
You found that fulfilling?
I found it in line with the character work.
It's not what I asked.
I didn't find it fulfilling. No, it's a bad match.
Okay.
But I think if during the upcoming build to Backlash, where they're going to set up Randy Orton and John Cena, they're going to play the classics. If they reference it and they tie that into Cena basically going, yeah, I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to be here. I'm going to use any shortcut I can to minimize the amount of effort I have to do. And that becomes a part of the character for the rest of the year. I think it's great. You set that up beautifully. The foundation is there.
Yeah.
If that is not what you do, terrible WrestleMania match. Awful.
So the entire predication of like how this match is going to age is contingent on what they continue to do.
In the next 2 pay-per-views, basically.
If they do knock it out of the park, do you go back and give this, because I know they grade WrestleMania matches.
I gave this honestly like 1.5 stars.
Wow,
out of
you
5.
really did not like this match.
This was a bad match to me. Like the beginning was
there's no world where I thought you would be this critical about a Cody Rhodes John Cena match.
Because there was nothing that felt true to, like, I know John Cena's playing heel. But there was nothing that felt like this was a main event match.
Can I ask you a really personal question?
Sure.
What is your social? I'm kidding. Do you think,
599,
as a guy who only went to Saturday night, WrestleMania, and now that you saw the main event and everything that happened Sunday, are you kind of like, I'm okay, I missed that one because it wasn't that great?
No, I really wanted to be there for Sunday. At least for the majority of the matches building into the main event.
But let's just talk about the main event.
Just in the main event.
Do you think you would have walked out of that? And I know you would have walked out of that stadium and been like, that was cool, but like...
Watching it back, I would have been like, that was disappointing.
Like, but now that you didn't go...
Yeah.
Are you kind of like, all right.
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
Yeah. Like, cool.
I'm hoping he's at Money in the Bank. That's the next pay-per-view I'll go to.
Money in the Bank is how they're going to set it up, though. Someone's going to win Money in the Bank. That's important. And then because he doesnst want to really fight, he just got to show up.
Someone's going to spring it on him when he shows up, which I think would be a fun way of doing that. So I want to go to Money in the Bank there.
Okay. Any other things about WrestleMania before we move on?
Honestly, the title change that they did for the women's tag titles, Raquel and Liv dropping it to Becky and Brea Davenport. I think it was Davenport. I could be getting that wrong. The women's IC title. Just to switch it back on Monday, just like I think that was a bright move because you get the Becky coming back moment, get big cheers there. Monday sets Becky up to be the heel now, could go after the individual title. Liv and Raquel are bringing so much clout to the women's titles. I think you need to build up the division around them a lot more, but they are the best women's tag team champions I think that we have right now. I think setting up like a heel Bianca and heel Naomi against them would be a lot of fun.
Naomi's also a star. I know we don't have too much time to talk about her. She's an absolute star.
Jade ran through her, but that was the point, and it was great.
Naomi's very new. She's only like a year and a half.
Naomi's been around for like 10 years.
Not in the WWE though, right? Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, she left with Sasha Banks back in the day when they had the women's tag titles.
I thought they just brought her up.
They just brought her back.
Gotcha.
She left like 4 years ago with Sasha Banks.
Gotcha.
Mercedes Moné now.
And then, of course, Io Sky.
The Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair match was amazing.
Io Sky nailed it.
Seeing her jump around and with the smile and like the little fun move. How could you not love her?
She was trending on Japan Twitter or X for like a solid amount of time.
And then the idea that I think you could set up with her with the women's title when Asuka is fully back and healthy, her, Kairi Sane with damage control. You have Io, the Kabuki Warriors underneath her. You could do the stable of women's tag team titles, women's main title, and have them just run things for a bit. Would be a lot of fun.
I think it'd be really cool. That is WrestleMania talk. We're going to get into Bust of the Week right now. I'm going to go through Bust of the Week kind of quickly.
Sure.
Mine is just the Memphis Grizzlies as an organization.
They fell apart.
They have... I mean, they're the AC. You said it in the hallway when we were talking about our Bust of the Week earlier. You told me, hey, they just fired their coach. They were in the playing game. They weren't looking great.
That was my pick of the week. A couple weeks ago was, I think, Thunder Sweep.
I think...
Those 800 odds, plus 800.
I think as good as the Thunder are, I don't think anyone would have predicted that they had a scoring differential in the first two games of 70 points.
No.
That's 35-point leads in both games.
But the fact that, to me, I saw some clips coming out, third quarter tonight's game, of John Morant kind of laughing and like having fun on the sidelines on the bench when he was there.
He's playing basketball. He's going to have a good time.
When they're down by 20. To me,
I've been losing him a lot of things, and I can still find fun.
No, you can still find fun, but that's not what you want out of your star when they're down in playoffs.
Dude, you said it beforehand. They know they were going to get swept.
Yeah, they knew they were going to get beat up.
I just didn't think they were going to lose by 35 and 40.
No, the volume of loss is ridiculous.
It's almost like you shouldn't have even shown up.
Yeah, like why'd you go after the play-ins?
Correct. I would have just tried to go get a better pick.
Yeah, that would have made better for the franchise.
What's your bust to pick?
Back to WrestleMania talk.
Beautiful.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This was my biggest issue with the main event. I was trying to avoid talking about it.
It's almost like we kept him absent for a reason.
Exactly. Ooh. But no, the idea that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson set up this feud with John Cena and Travis Scott versus Cody Rhodes.
Not just he set up a lot of things.
He did. Like the fact
in the main storyline.
He's been involved with the main event scene since last year.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And the idea that he does not show up for this, which left everyone head scratching a bit, but it was like, okay, why? What's going on? Then does a press conference after WrestleMania, basically saying, oh, I just wanted the spotlight to be on Cody and Cena. Dude, you are a part of the storyline. The fact that Cena on Monday ran through a list of champions, because now that he's a 17-time world champion, he went through, I'm better than Stone Cold. I'm better than Ric Flair. I'm better than Hogan. I'm better than The Undertaker. I'm better, and named off all these guys, Triple H, and left The Rock's name off it intentionally. And I think that was very telling. From what I heard, what I remember from the commentary, Michael Cole and them didn't mention The Rock either. I think WWE is intentionally trying to minimize The Rock's role in this now to get the fans to forget that he was involved in the storyline. Because they're trying to cop him out now. They realize, hey, Dwayne's too busy with other crap. He's not going to be able to be here for the big moments.
Who's going to make Jumanji 4? Dwayne's got to do it.
Dwayne's got to be there.
This is the best thing Dwayne's done in 10 years.
I think him being involved, because that would have made all the sense. Like that would have been so big.
Yeah, but he continuously says like, this is the way I feel as an outside guy. It feels like he just used the WWE.
Yeah,
he uses the fans and he uses the company to like as a cushion.
Yeah, he needs to get his name back in there. He comes around for WrestleMania season and disappears again.
Yeah, and then you guys eat it up. You guys love it.
Well, because he's an all-timer, definitely. But
so
the idea that I think a lot of fans are souring on him right after this, because now the storyline makes no sense. You've created the plot hole by yourself. And then to say right afterwards, oh, I wanted the shine to be on them. Now it made the fans dislike those two guys.
Final boss.
Like, it's really bad storytelling.
Yeah, and it could be so much better, especially in that standpoint. Who knows if they bring him back? Let's get into our NFL draft talk. We've got an entire final mock draft for today. The draft is on Thursday, a day after when this episode drops. We're going to go through all of our picks. We're going to go through them at a decent speed. We'll talk about the big picks.
Yeah.
This is my moment.
This is you.
I love mock drafting.
Yeah, you're a man that has probably run through 50 different scenarios at this point.
Oh, way more.
Like handpicking everybody for yourself.
And I got to a point today where I think I did 7 final mock drafts. And then I just finished it literally before we got here of like, all right, this is the final thing. I want to preference my mock draft by saying this. It is not a prediction of what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a prediction of what I think can happen and players that these teams are specifically eyeing based on rumors and ideas going out there.
That makes sense.
This is the first draft, and I know everyone's heard it, in a very, very long time. Some people say since the beginning of drafts that every single team has their pick still in the proper position.
And I don't think that lasts at all. We are going to see some movement immediately.
Do you have any trades?
I didn't put any into our mock because that's too hard to predict. There was 1 or 2 that I've noted down where I think that they will trade, but if they don't, here's who I think they get at that slot.
All right, let's start with the first overall pick. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock.
So I'm taking odds, you're taking evens.
Do you want to do it that way?
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
So I think easy one here, Titans pick Cam Ward, quarterback out of Tennessee. Cam Ward on his live stream has already been hyping up like Treylon Burks as being a great receiver, the best running back room. He's done nothing but hype this team up.
Tony Pollard and Burks are the best guys in the league.
And it's like, dude, what are you like? Yeah, it's a given at this point. The Titans have basically already announced it.
I'm in the AFC South, so I'll be seeing a lot of Cam Ward, and I'm very happy that they selected this pick. If I was the Tennessee Titans, I'd be taking the guy I'm going to give the Cleveland Browns at the number 2. I think there is no elite quarterback unless there is a coaching staff that really feels they can get the best out of him. Maybe they do feel like they can get the best out of Cam Ward. I don't think they can.
I mean, it's better than what they have right now, Will Levis.
Yeah, but
Will Levis will probably be dealt before minicamp.
They must clearly be in love with Cam Ward if they weren't even thinking about fielding goals.
Yeah, honestly, that's what that told me is they're just desperate for a quarterback.
I have the even picks. I'm going with Travis Hunter. He's the best odds for the number 2 pick. I think it's clear Cleveland wants to move on at quarterback, but Travis Hunter clearly wants to be a wide receiver. I think he's going to be a fine wide receiver. I think he's going to be a fine corner. I don't think he's.
Do you think he plays quarterback?
Corner?
Quarter.
No.
QB.
I think he'll probably attempt a few passes.
Yeah.
But like.
I'm just thinking because the Browns need somebody.
They have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett, sir.
Oh, goodness.
And I think they're going to.
What is with the AFC North just keeping the quarterback carousel going between teams?
I think we're going to address some of those needs today, Don.
Oh, yeah.
I do have Travis Hunter, though, at number 2 pick.
We fall to the Giants at number 3. I think they get Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State.
100% agree.
It makes the most sense. They've already made too many moves at quarterback. That tells me that they're probably not going to go after QB whatsoever.
Jamison Russ, and they've announced that they're not in the Shador camp at all.
Yeah, and they still kept Tommy DeVito around for the cutlets. But yeah, so to me, it's like it makes sense. Like Brian Daboll likes building up this defense. He likes them playing rough and tough. Adding one of the better D linemen in the entire edge rushers in the entire draft. He gives a lot of Micah Parsons vibes. At 250, he's the highest production score by NFL Next Gen Stats out of the entire draft class. He's a specimen.
He's a special guy. I think, of course, the Micah Parsons comparison is there because they're the same school, same numbers, same position, kind of have the same story of like, oh, didn't always play on the edge, but they can play kind of everywhere. I think he's really, really good. I actually was playing around at this spot of maybe the Giants trading it, but overall, I took a step back and I was like, the Giants have known they wanted Abdul Carter for months.
Yeah.
They're just going to make this pick and walk away. Same thing with the next team, the New England Patriots. I think the first 4 picks are so predictable this year. The draft should actually start at 5. But for 4, I have Will Campbell going, the offensive tackle out of LSU. A lot of people talk about his arms being really short. I don't really care about that. I think he's a good offensive tackle. You're going to put him in. Drake May is going to be protected, and that's how you start to build a team of Mike Vrabel through the trenches.
Yeah, that is a Vrabel way.
Yeah.
Pick 5, this is where things might get a little interesting. Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them with Mason Graham, the D lineman out of Michigan.
Right now, number 2 in odds for that pick.
Yeah. I think that he's the safer pick for them. They want to bring back Saxonville. They're getting a guy who is physical in the trenches, has a wrestling background, so he has the strength. He's a dog there.
Orange County guy.
I think for the culture that they're going to try to bring in, it makes the most sense.
I actually have a trade at this pick. I traded the Jacksonville Jaguars traded their 10th with the Bears. For me, I think that the Bears are going to come up. It sounds like they want to come up and make a splash. They feel like they have a team that's ready to go. I have them coming up and getting Ashton Genty.
That makes a lot of sense as well. Genty is floating around. He's going to be around the 5th or 6th pick, in my opinion.
There seems to be a couple players that people are like, there's 10 to 12 really good players that a lot of teams are coming up for. Where I have Genty, I don't think he's elite, but a lot of teams do. Go up and get your guy, and I think the Bears are like, hey, we really do feel like we address the offensive line needs. Let's just go up and get our guy. And
you have receiving threats already taken care of. The defense is improving.
Yeah,
that's all you're missing.
Jacksonville to come back, but even if Jacksonville stays here, I do think Ashton Genty gets off the board at 5 no matter what. In fact, there's a prop on Bravada on FanDuel. His draft position is over 6.5. I'm taking the under. I think he's going to be picked within that 6.5 threshold.
Yeah, that seems about right.
The 6th overall pick, the Raiders, is where I actually have Mason Graham going right after. I think for everything you said about Jacksonville, flip it to the Las Vegas team. They're fantastic with him. Christian Wilkins, Mad Max. Hopefully Wilson will go. That's a really tough division with a lot of good quarterbacks and Bo Nix and Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. And the AFC's tough. You're going to have to play Lamar again, and you're going to have to play Joe Burrow, and you're going to have to play Josh Allen. Go get maybe one of the best defensive lines in the league. Yeah. Same thing what the Giants are doing. The Giants are like, all right, we're not going to win a ton of games, but at least we're going to hit Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I think that's a great position for the Raiders to be in.
I have a bet with the Raiders in our pick of the week later. I think they go in a different direction.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
At number 7, Don.
At number 7 with the Jets, Armin Membo, offensive tackle out of Missouri. I think they wait to fill in their tight end gap with Tyler Conklin being gone. Mm-hmm. I think they wait till a little bit later in the draft there. They already have one of the youngest offensive lines in the league. Outside of Chukwuma Okafor, who's their right tackle they got off New England on free agency. Mm-hmm. Other than him, no one has been in the league for more than 4 years on that offensive line.
Very young offensive line.
Very young offensive line. I think if you just bring this final pick, because Okafor is okay. He's good.
They're fine.
He's fine, but you get in a glue guy. Okafor is going to be end of contract of this season.
Membu's also really good.
Membu is a great guy if you give him a season to just get there, or even slot start him in immediately and have Okafor fill in as a veteran, kind of plug the gaps.
You don't have to sell me on him. I love him.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense for the Jets. That's what I'm trying to sell. Is you're going to have to bring in a new QB soon. Justin Fields is not going to be the long-term answer. But until then, you have one of the best offensive lines until you get your quarterback that you want. You have Breece Hall. You have I always forget the second guy that's over there. Braylon Allen. Justin Fields. You're going to be a ground and pound team. Have the offensive line to support it.
I 100% agree with you. I even took his odds at plus 200 at this position. Yeah. I really do think he's there. Every mock draft I did, he was like automatic. He's just going there. And And then on my final mock draft, I took a step back, and I was like, all right, it's too easy for the Jets to do that. I don't believe in the Jets, and I don't trust the Jets. I think the Jets get there, and they go, do we really believe in Justin Fields? There's a quarterback on the board. It's New York. Let's go get Shedeur Sanders.
Ooh,
I think it'd be tough.
This is the first time we're breaking away from each other.
Yes. I think Shedeur is a clear going to be a top 10 pick. I know that there's a lot of chatter.
I do not disagree.
Okay. Whether it's someone trading up to get him or whether he goes right here.
I have Shedeur going one pick later to this or 2 picks later at number 9 to the Saints.
Okay.
So I think Shedeur's right there in that little window.
So then let's talk about the next pick. The next pick is the Panthers right there. I have Will Johnson, the cornerback, going.
Sure.
I think they need cornerback help. I'm fine if they also go the defensive end, Jalen Walker from Georgia, which I know a lot of people have them tied to him.
There's a lot of conversation about where Walker's going to end up.
But for me, they just signed J.C. Horn. Let's go get him another corner. Let's start building that team. I haven't given up on Bryce Young, but they actively are still adding stuff over the offseason for him. I like Will Johnson here, the corner, who I think is the best corner in this draft.
Yeah,
over Hunter.
Yeah, the Panthers defense does need a lot of help moving forward.
Yeah.
For me, in number 9, I'm taking the Saints, Shedeur, out of Colorado. I know his line and the variables involved in Shedeur is either top 10 pick or not even in the first round.
I don't think he gets past the Steelers.
I don't know if he gets past the Steelers,
I don't think he makes it there though.
I don't think he makes. I think that a lot of it is just hype right now. We've seen a lot of conversations with a lot of guys. Like quarterbacks are always moving up and down this board right now.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone has their issues.
Half of the scouts think Jackson Dart's going to be a first top 10 pick, and then the other guys are like, he's not going to be in the first round.
Yeah, there's Tyler out of Louisville,
Strattenberger, and then a guy
Shaw, I always mispronounce his name. It rhymes with something. I just don't click.
The Louisville guy who's our age. He's 26. He's literally graduated high school in 2016.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's now being crept into the first round for some people, and because
he's super ready, but I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know if
there's a guy I said last year who will be a first round pick, and he got invited to the draft. It's Jalen Milroe, Alabama quarterback. They're saying he's faster and a better fluid runner than Lamar Jackson. Now I watch a lot of Jalen Milroe. I disagree strongly.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
But he's still very good. Claim. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll get into him. But I think Shedeur and the Saints makes a lot of sense. Saints like to make the flashy pick. They want to make the sexy pick there. They are QB desperate with Card being out for most of the season with the shoulder issue already. I think that it makes sense for Carr. You're on the shelf anyway. Train the young kid.
I 100% agree with you if
he falls this far.
If your scenario breaks out. In my scenario, Shedeur's gone.
Yeah.
They're sitting there. Will Johnson got taken off, so now they're like, well, the best corner's off the board. Our favorite quarterback's off the board. There's a team calling us. There's a team that's been trying to get into the top 10 and get this player. The Indianapolis Colts make a call. They come up and get Tyler Warren, the tight end that they've been desperately linked to, had multiple workouts with, have had multiple meetings with. The Colts have been very much eyed on like, hey, we're going Loveland or we're going Warren.
Yeah.
But they want Warren. I think this is where they come up and allows the Saints to kind of come back and readjust their draft.
And it gets them picks that the Saints desperately need. Like
they are a bad roster.
Yeah, they are not in a good place with cap. They're not a good place in their roster. They need to start bringing in young blood now.
And the Colts GM and coaching and staff, they're desperate. They know they need to knock it out of the park this year because, as I've said,
they're hot seat.
They're all hot seated. Tyler Warren gets the juices going, and then people can kind of, even though I don't think it's a good fit, I'd sell myself on it.
It gets people excited for the beginning of the season.
Correct. And you could be like, oh, it's another good weapon. And if Anthony Richardson doesn't work out, well, then we have a good display of weapons to go get a quarterback. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Pick 10.
Pick 10. So for me, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you have?
You have
the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears maintain. I did not take any trades.
Gotcha.
Just for the sake of clarity.
I'm going Jacksonville Jaguars. Terrio McLennan.
Yeah.
McMillan. It's McMillan.
The wide receiver?
Yes, out of Arizona. Big guy. I'm not a big fan of him. He reminds me a lot of Quinshawn Johnson, the wide receiver from the Chargers that drops everything. Quentin Johnston. A lot of people love him. You're either hot and cold on this guy. I don't think he's great, but what I do know about the Jaguars is they love to draft receivers. They just cut Christian Kirk. He's a big body guy. Trevor Lawrence loves his big bodied receivers. He adds to it. And they get their picks back. That's who I have there.
Sure.
If the Bears stay there, they'll probably get an offensive tackle.
Yeah, which makes sense. This is a very offensive tackle, deep draft.
You got the next pick.
For the 11, I'm taking the 49ers to grab Walter Nolan, defensive lineman out of Ole Miss. I feel the 49ers are going to take a swing here just due to the fact that they need to bring in some excitement on that aging roster. He has a lot of character issues. That is being I do not want that being overlooked. Multiple times has walked out of practices at Ole Miss, has mid-practice just out of frustration. He has been a nuisance on the sidelines during games and during practices. But his production on the field, I mean, this kid is a killer.
He's
9 point, number 5 run stopper in the entire FBS last season. Had a 12.3% run stop ranked, second in the nation. Like, he is an animal when they get him going. I think the 49ers are one of those teams that could take this kind of chance because they have the team culture already built.
That's a great pick.
They have a very strong culture, and I think that for a quote-unquote problem child coming in, you want a team that's going to maintain a standard around him.
I think that's a great pick. I had them taking corner.
They need help on the defensive side. Either way could go right.
I gave him Jahdae Barron, but like, you convinced me that's a way better pick. I think I have Nolan slipping in the draft kind of far because
a lot of people do
because of the character issues. There is no doubt. You're 100% right about how he plays. He's electric. At the Senior Bowl, he was tearing it up.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I'm like, there's a world where he's the best defensive tackle in this draft.
He is one of the most explosive defensive tackles I've seen. Like, his get off the ball speed is not okay for a man his size.
I don't know if the 49ers are willing to make that commitment to a player like that at such a important pick for their franchise right now. Because this is a very big pick for them.
It is massive. This is a rebuilding pick.
Yeah. It can accelerate the rebuild.
Yes.
I'm here. It's Dallas. It's time. The entire world is like, hey, Dallas, what are you doing? You just lost Ashton Genty. You're not getting him. McMillan's off the board. We thought we were going to get him.
Golden?
So I was going to go Golden.
Okay. That's who I think they take.
I looked at the roster, and yes, wide receiver is a hole. But they have a linebacker hole that's massive.
Yeah.
I went with the best inside linebacker in this draft for them. I gave them the best inside linebacker at Jihad Campbell, who I think is really, really good. I think he immediately plugs in, and then he's an immediate face on that defense that gets them rowdy and gets them going again. I think he's a really, really good player for them. I know it's not going to sell the most tickets, and I know it's not going to get the guys amped. I really, really like it for this franchise, though.
That's what would make the most sense for the franchise.
Yes. They're not going to
do it. Jerry wants to make the sexy pick.
He's probably going to go Golden.
That's where I felt he was going to go
Golden. Because Golden, you'll be able to sell your fans and be like, look, we got CD's number 2.
We're working on the team.
You can get a number 2 with your second round pick, though.
Yeah. That'd be good drafting.
Yeah.
I don't want Golden to go there.
Yeah.
I think he's going to end up there.
I think Golden's not going to be too far off from where we're at.
Yeah, he's going to fall in this pocket. He has the talent there.
13th pick?
Number
Dolphins.
13 for the Dolphins, I'm taking Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State.
Love him.
This is a great scheme fit for the Dolphins. I think they might get away with a steal in this draft because he is sliding down the board a little bit.
He got hurt.
He has a knee injury. Mm-hmm. CBS, Yahoo, ESPN, a lot of these inside sources are saying that the reevaluation of his medical report, the knee is clean. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no issues. There's nothing to be worried about. I get teams being apprehensive. If this works out, you get a big body bruiser.
He's my favorite
protecting
tackle in the draft.
Tua. Yeah.
Second favorite tackle in the draft.
And I think that him sliding to 13, Dolphins are going to be cheering to get this man. If he keeps Tua upright, Tua already had one of the best accuracy and pressure statistics last season. If he gets more time in the pocket, this scheme fit is going to be great. You get a power run as well to help out. a struggling run game that was just not always consistent last season. He fixes a lot of problems.
If they can get a consistent protection package and running game, the Dolphins are genuinely threatening, because what they do need to do, and we are on the same path here because I took Membu here, because on my board he just slid a little bit.
They could work either way.
We have the vision here. We both know protect and run, because you're going to have to go to Buffalo, you're going to have to go to New England, and you're going to have to go to the New York Jets, and that's just in your division.
Right when it gets cold, you need to have the run game at least a little bit more than what you had last year.
It gets cold in Baltimore. It gets cold in Cincinnati. It gets cold in Kansas City in January. If you really want to play like you do, Miami, you got to get these big guys in the trenches, and it starts here.
Yeah.
Make the smart decision.
That hopefully that is what the Dolphins end up with.
So 14 for you. You have the Colts. For me, I have the Saints because they traded.
Sure.
This is where I have Matthew Golden going. I think he fits perfectly for what they want. He's kind of exactly what I think Chris Olave is. He's an athletic. I can go make my own play. I don't think he's a great route runner, but he's a really good wide receiver too. I think there's just a bunch of wide receiver twos in this draft.
It feels like it. There's very few top heavy alphas like we had.
Someone will
break out, but it's hard.
Right here is where it's hard.
You can't pick a Marvin Harrison Jr. and go, he's going to be an alpha one day.
Or Malik Neighbors. It's really hard this draft. But I'm with you on Golden. I think, they're going to have some issues, and maybe Derek Carr doesn't play, but they got Spencer Rattler, and I don't see a world where they're like, hey, we don't want to give him a shot. Yeah. I think they like him.
I don't know. It's the Saints.
I know.
That's at the end of the day. That is always by default. It's like, who knows what they're thinking sometimes.
It's the Saints. Who'd you have at 14 for the Colts?
14 for the Colts, I think.
Tyler Warren, probably.
I think I have them.
Every single person gets Tyler Warren.
Yeah, that's just kind of where it is. I don't 15. 15, I have the Falcons with James Pierce Jr. I think he is the best pure edge rusher in the league. In the draft right now coming in. It's something the Falcons need to address immediately. They have had the least amount of sacks since 2018 in the entire NFL. We know it's an issue. Pierce, 17 and a half sacks, 3 forced fumbles in his last 2 seasons in the NCAA. You have Penix, who you're most likely going to roll with. You still have your offensive weapons there. Rebuild the defense. Get this team up and running to go compete with the Bucks.
I also have a pass rusher there, so I like it for them. And then Arizona Cardinals, I have a pass rusher for them too. I'm giving them Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
The defensive end from the Georgia Bulldogs. He didn't have a ton of production, but he's a very, very athletic freak. And usually those guys in past drafts go in the top 10 and sometimes get talked all the way to the top 5. I like where
it feels like a more realistic spot right here.
He's going right now
for value,
mocked around like the late 10s. I think he can slip because of the talent disparity from the trades. If he gets to the Cardinals, they walk away very, very happy and feeling like, hey, we might have our future pass rusher on this team. But I think they're going to go pass rusher across the board.
I think they have to, no matter who they get.
17
Bengals.
How happy were you when you were like, I get to make the Bengals pick?
No, I honestly am taking what I think is best for their franchise. Tyler Booker, offensive line out of Alabama. They've clearly we're punting on defense.
I have Tyler Booker going next.
Okay.
To the Seahawks. So that's my 18th pick.
I think the Bengals may snipe them there. Well, I think what's best for the Bengals franchise.
I agree with you. I don't think the Bengals can get out of their way.
Yeah.
I think they'll say, we're going to make the best decision for our franchise in a more selfish way. I think they go Malachi Starks, who I think is the best safety in this draft.
Yeah.
I think they go like, hey, our secondary was awful last year. Joe Burrow's good enough to survive with this offensive line, yada, yada. Again, they do that whole rigmarole, and then they go get a safety, and they can be like, see, we tried to work on the defense.
And they try to justify it that way. I think that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. Yeah. Burrow was sacked at 6.86% of his dropbacks last season. In the last 3 games, he was sacked on over 10% of his dropbacks.
A lot.
Like, he was getting lit up in the big moments where he had to hold the ball longer to make the critical play. Get an offensive. If you're already not going to build your defense, like even if you go get a safety this draft, that is not fixing the defense.
Not at all.
Protect Burrow, keep him upright. That's the only way you're going to win these shootouts that you're forcing your team into.
No, they're going to go get a safety.
Yeah, and I'm going to laugh because it's like, yeah, it's a good pick, but it's not a good pick for next season.
like I said, I went Tyler Booker with the 18th pick for the Seattle Seahawks. They really do need interior lineman help. It's going to help Sam Darnold open up the pass game. Don, who you got at 19?
19 with the Bucks. I have them taking Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan. Bucks need help on defense. Clearly, they are in a similar spot with the Bengals, just not as bad. But they dealt with a lot of injuries. They have an aging defense coming off that since that last Super Bowl win that they were a part of. I think Johnson is up there in terms of Travis Hunter, like in terms of quality of corner. Hunter does have the speed. I think Johnson is better at keeping the play in front of him.
I think he's a better pure corner and man-to-man corner.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he's able to shut down a little bit better. I think unless they go and trade up, like they could take the shot at Hunter, they could go take a shot at safety. I think
they got to really make a shot to get Hunter.
But Bucks might make the splashy play. They have made that once in a while. If they stay in spot, Will Johnson just makes the most sense just to like as a cornerstone building block. I think
it's a good piece for them. I went a little bit different for the Buccaneers. I give them a pass rusher because they needed one with Mike Green out of Marshall. Led all of college football last year with 17 sacks, but he's from Marshall. He's kind of got this Khalil Mack mixed mysticism about him where you're kind of like, I don't know what he was out of Buffalo. I think he's kind of got a similar build and kind of plays similarly to Khalil Mack. I just think he's a better run defender coming out of college than Khalil Mack. I think he's a really good pass rusher.
Yeah.
And maybe my third favorite one coming out of this draft. I really do like him.
Sure.
I have the 20th pick. I have another trade, Don. I made a trade with the Houston Texans.
Okay.
They're sitting there. They're like, hey, Denver was like, we need to move back. We need more picks. Houston's like, we need to go get an offensive tackle. There's one still on the board in Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Gets to stay in state. He's against the SEC allowed 1 sack in 2 years. He's my favorite tackle in this draft. He's not as surefire as Will Campbell, who can play inside or outside. And he's maybe not as technically efficient as Simmons, but what he's shown me against some of the toughest competition is enough for me to be like, give this guy a shot. And that's me saying that against my division rivals.
Yeah.
I think he immediately plugs in a hole and makes CJ Stroud like savable again.
No, I have them Texans not trading up, but still getting an offensive lineman in their spot.
So we're both like
that is a priority.
Go get it.
That is a priority.
Cool.
It's just who do they value on their board?
21
for the Steelers.
You pick the Steelers too?
Yeah, I get the Bengals and the Steelers. It feels gross. And the Ravens later. It's all odd numbers. Kenneth Grant, defensive line out of Michigan. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers there. I don't think that they address the quarterback position that a lot of people have them addressing with Dart being tied there, with Milroe's name coming up once in a while. I don't think that they go and address that. I think Cam Hayward's getting old. I think TJ Watt's coming off as one of his worst production seasons in a while. You go get a defensive lineman that you could start refreshing this defense, the cornerstone of this franchise, start looking for the future now.
I think that's a good pick. I don't think it's the right pick. I think the Steelers are a team that's roster should be in the top 10, maybe top 14 picks in the draft.
Yeah.
And they have the unfortunate reality of picking at 21. I do think they go Jalen Milroe. I think clearly Jalen Milroe is going to be a first-round pick because he got accepted and he's going to the NFL draft in Green Bay. There's only 13 people going there. They're all for sure first-round picks. And then it's Jalen Milroe. I don't think the NFL is like, well, we don't know where this guy's going. We're just inviting him.
Yeah.
I think at this point in the draft, even if they do sign Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Milroe is the prototypical guy to say, dude, you're not playing for 2 years. Sit behind Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that would make. I think where my difference is that would mean the Steelers are thinking 2 years ahead.
Correct. They don't do that.
They don't do that often. Yeah. And that's where
I don't even think 2 years ahead. I think they could literally just be like, all right, it's a 1 year rental with Rodgers. Learn as much as you can. Next year, you're up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
22, though, I have this pick. I have the Chargers. And when I was lining up my draft, sometimes this would happen. And I was like, this feels way too dynasty. There's no world where Jim Harbaugh, after winning a national championship, a year later gets to say, oh yeah, let me go get my number one tight end prospect in Colston Loveland. Let me go immediately say, hey, I know you guys were talking about how we need another target for my quarterback. Well, what if I got the guy who can block defensive ends and run post routes like a demon? Let me go get my version of Brock Bowers. Let me go get Colston Loveland. It's my dream. I'm not even a Chargers fan. I just think I like Colston Loveland as a player more than I like Warren. Warren's going to make bigger highlights, 100%. I just think Loveland, like from a tight end perspective, is like everything you go into a lab and you say, that's what I want.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good spot. I think Chargers, if they don't get Loveland, go offensive line. They need to secure it a little bit more. Yes, sure. I know they need to address targets. I know they need to address bringing in somebody else other than Josh Palmer to be number 2. But
they still got Johnston.
Johnston's the one.
No, Ladd McConkey's the one.
Ladd McConkey's the true one, but playing out of the X there, I think they just address that maybe round 2 because there's some deep wide receiver 2s in this draft.
Mikael Williams for me at 23 is what I have for pass rusher for the Packers. What do you have?
I have Jahdae Barron, corner for Texas. I have him falling like a little bit. I think Green Bay snaps him up immediately. Jair Alexander is most likely not going to return. He's asking for a lot. It sounds like he's not. You go and get his replacement right now.
I hear you with that. My whole thing though with the Packers is, one, I don't think corners are going to last. There seems to be only like 3 really good ones that people are willing to go take shots on. There's a guy from Ole Miss that people kind of like, and Amos. I think right here, if Mikael Williams, a pass rusher out of Georgia, is still here, you go take him. Packers will be very happy, but I think interior offensive lineman is also a big key for them here.
Yeah, they have a few different needs that they could go address.
24, Vikings are up on the board. I have Nick. I'm going to botch this name.
We're going to get into a few tough ones here pretty quickly.
Emmanuel from South Carolina. He's a safety, led all of college football in the past 2 years with pick sixes, had a bunch of picks last year. Really, really good safety. It plugs in immediately for what they lost in Bynum to the Colts this offseason. And then Smith, of course, is getting older. Harrison Smith is like 36 at this point. Mm-hmm. This is a dynamic safety. I think there's 2 safeties gone in the first round. I think he's the next one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
For me, 25 coming in for the Texans. Gray Zabel, interior offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. He's a combo center and guard. He's played both at the collegiate level. Mm-hmm. Easy plug and play for the Texans here, who just lost their they got rid of Tunsil. They need a lot of offensive linemen addressing. If they don't go up and get somebody, I think this is the best offensive lineman available at this point.
I think he's a really good center. I think he's a fine guard.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of a tweener, and he's going to have to be in specific organizations that know how to deal with those kind of offensive linemen. I don't know if Houston's the best position for him.
I don't know if he's the best position for Houston. I think Houston gets him because he's the best available.
I hear you.
Yeah.
For me, actually, I have Denver traded with Houston. So here I have Denver taking the second running back off the board in Amari Hampton. And
sure.
Denver has been very clear. They lost Javonte Williams, and they're like, hey, we want to go get a running back. They don't want
to run with Tyler Bede?
No, they're ready to move on. And Amari Hampton's a very, very good running back who I think will be successful on that team. My
26.
Pick, 26, my last trade. I think the Rams, who have clearly said, we don't really care about the NFL draft in the first round, we make our money in the end. Don't go full cynicism and go like, all right, we won't take a pick in the first round. But they make a call with a team that has frequently in the past 4 years, 4 out of the last 5 years, they have moved up in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't care that they won the Super Bowl. The Eagles make a call and they come up in the draft and they go make a player that they're amazed is still on the board in Derek Hammond, defensive tackle out of Oregon, who is a very, very big game wrecker. You're like, wait, they took another defensive tackle? They got to start paying some of these guys. Jalen Carter's going to get paid, which means Davis probably isn't going to get re-signed, which means, hey, here's Hammond here. We can kind of rotate these guys on contracts. It's going to immediately build into this really longevity-wise, probably the best defensive line in a decade.
Yeah. I can see that if the Eagles build this correctly. Pick 27, Ravens. I'm taking, I'm going to butcher his last name, Donovan Erzamani. Makuyu
from Boston.
Thank you.
It's Azuriaku.
Thank you. I knew I was going to butcher that one. It's going to take me a bit on that. Edge
I have
rusher.
the next pick to Detroit. So we're right there.
We're right there.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore has a lot of areas they need to fill on the defense. I think the safeties go early. Otherwise, if one falls, I think that makes more sense for the Ravens. I just don't have any safety of the top two falling this low.
I agree. I think if there's a corner or a safety that they're in love with that somehow gets there, that's their pick.
Yeah. I think safety or defensive tackle.
Correct.
Because Michael Pierce is retired now. They need to fill that hole. Another one upcoming right now is Odway and Kyle Van Noy are both on the last years of their contract coming in right now.
I think this is a slam dunk pick.
Yeah, this is an easy edge rusher pick. I think it's outside linebacker coach Chuck will just have a field day with this kid.
I think it's going to be really good if you guys can get a elite pass rusher in this draft.
Yeah.
Or even just a consistent one, a guy that can get you like 7.5 sacks a year.
That's all you really need for this defense.
For your guys' defense. I went a little different for you guys. I gave you guys Greg Zabel here because I do think you guys need interior offensive line help a little bit here.
A little bit.
I do think he's more of a center, and you guys have that fixed. Like I said with him earlier, I think in the right situations, he can be a very good guard. I think Baltimore is one of those situations where he doesn't have to immediately come in and plug in and be an immediate superstar on this offensive line. And this offensive line's like, they were relying on you to make big plays. They're kind of just like, hey, rally with the boys. You're going to learn. You're not the best. You're not even the third best guy on this offensive line, but build with us, grow with us. And in 3 years, you will be the best one here.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect situation for them. Like I said, Detroit, they get that pass rusher and Donovan, is he Ariaku, or we'll find out tomorrow? But
yeah, I will learn this name. This is one of those that I'm like, I have to memorize.
There's nothing bad I could say about him. And then the next pick, who do you got with the Commanders?
Commanders, I think Commanders trade out of this position personally. I think Texans come back up to refill a little bit, double dip on the O-line. If Washington stays,
yes,
which that's kind of how I've mocked my draft right now. I think they get Josh Cornley Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. This kid knows ball. Listen to any interview that he's done. He is a very high football IQ and is a freak strength. Like, for his size, he showed out in the combine. He has muscle for days.
He's very strong.
And I think pairing him with Brian Robinson Jr., having Jaden Daniels run behind him, you get a nice little thunder and lightning. This would be a very interesting interior lineman to bring in.
He's the last of my tackles in this draft where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable drafting him. And I'm like, all right.
You could start week one and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I expect you to start in this league. I do have him going to the Rams with that traded overall pick at 32 for me. Commanders, I have them staying. Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan that you already talked about earlier. I think he fits right in. Like I said, that division has a lot of good quarterbacks. Got to go get him.
Yep.
I have the 30th pick of Walter Nolan to the Buffalo Bills. You had him going way earlier. Like I said, I had character concerns with him. I think him going to Buffalo kind of is the same situation with what you said in San Francisco. He gets to sit behind someone. That offensive line or that defensive line needs help.
Yes,
needs help
they
bad.
really do.
Let's put him next to Ed Oliver. Let's show this guy like, hey, go get the pass rusher. He's electric. I think this is a huge piece for them too to possibly go down in the Super Bowl and maybe make big plays.
If he falls this far, I don't see the Ravens not getting him. That's another guy that I'm like, culture thing is not going to be an issue there.
Gotcha.
That's just my gut.
How did you get the Chiefs pick too?
Dude, it's just weird with the odds and evens.
Who'd you give them?
Chiefs,
There's no way you gave them a good player.
Donovan Jackson, interior lineman out of Ohio State. They need linemen. Let's be honest here. They need to rebuild that offensive line. Mahomes was hit, I think,
1,000 times.
Third highest in the league last season.
Just in the Super Bowl, he got hit 1,000 times.
Yeah, they need desperate help there. He's not going to be the sexiest pick in the world because they do need some offensive help in terms of firepower. But he's a local kid. He has flashes at guard. He's played tackle for the Buckeyes last season. You can kind of move him around, see where he's going to fit best into this offensive scheme. And I think the big ability that he's versatile is going to help the Chiefs a lot. Mahomes likes to scramble. He can run, but he keeps plays alive. So having a interior tackle who could play like a guard is going to help that scrambling ability in a lot of ways, is going to keep that athleticism high. It makes sense for what Andy Reid would want to do.
I kind of had the same idea, but in my draft, I had Justin Simmons falling a little more.
Sure. There's so many strong offensive linemen in this draft.
But I think they're all gone in day one.
They're all gone in day one, but where they go in the first round could vary.
There's a center out of Georgia who I think can maybe sneak up and get selected in the first round. But that's about it for offensive linemen. Then I'm like, yeah, throw them in. They're ready to go. I think Simmons, we already kind of talked about him. I think him and Kansas City might be too perfect of a matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real possibility. I think yours is a little bit more realistic. But if this does shake out and they do end up walking away with Simmons, there's a real chance we end up going, if that Simmons guy is healthy and that knee is correct, they might have had the best pick in that draft.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I already said it, I have Josh Cornely Jr. going to the Rams with the very last pick in the first round. No one ever knows what's going to happen in the draft, except for the people that are drafting.
And even then, they get shocked.
Things happen all the time.
We
Last
learned
year,
from the Vikings.
Michael Penix got drafted, and everyone in the league was like, wait, what? They want Michael Penix?
Yeah.
Which ended up being probably the right pick.
I think the right pick for the time. I don't think the best pick, but it's making sense.
Bad pick for the time, good pick overall.
Yeah, well, I think there's better available.
Yeah.
It just happened to work out well.
Maybe they were like, oh, we shouldn't. Maybe the second they were like, we saw Kirk Cousins actually throw a little bit, they were like, oh,
they knew something that everyone else did not.
I want to say this. The draft is fun. Of course, it's not like, oh, I won the Super Bowl, but enjoy the hope that you get from it.
Yeah.
And enjoy the hype that you get from it. I understand this is a longer episode, so we're going to wrap up very shortly. I just have one quick question of the day, Don. You kind of already answered it. But at the end of the day, the draft ends. The first round's done. Who is your ideal? You ended up with this guy. You get to walk away just like I gave Simmons to the Chiefs, where they walk away and they're like, hey, we're happy. The Colts come up, go get Warren. They're like, hey, we're happy. What do the Baltimore Ravens need to do to make you go, fuck yeah, we won that draft?
I want Walter Nolan.
I want
Walter Nolan bad.
So you saw him play and you were like, this guy's the guy.
He's going to be a freak on this defensive line. The D line is going, like, I know that we have the spot to fill where we could start week one with Michael Pierce out. We need a heavy run blocker that Pierce was.
He just doesn't feel like the type of guy that Baltimore would risk drafting.
It doesn't. It doesn't to a certain extent. We have taken shots on guys with those quote unquote character issues before.
But they seem to flourish when they're in Baltimore.
Yes.
And not before.
And that's where I'm like, I think this is going to be our experiment of we've gotten it right so many times, other than Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
We've gotten it right so many times on we'll fix them, that this is like, well, what if we just try it on hard mode?
You can't beat yourself on Deontay Johnson, by the way.
The entire league hated him. Everyone else went,
everyone's beating themselves up over Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
We were all wrong, which means we were all right.
Everyone was okay with him. He's still on the Ravens practice squad.
Oh,
like he's still sitting there right now. Like no one has gotten him.
I'm going to the pick of the week. There's a couple picks I talked about in this draft that I really, really like, but the number one pick that I really, really enjoy is running backs selected.
Sure.
The line right now is at 1.5. I think 2 running backs get drafted. I think it's Marion Hampton and Genty, but I could even see Quinshawn Judkins or Travion Henderson coming up.
Not Scattaboo?
I think Scattaboo staying in the third where he belongs.
Yeah, no, that's a good value for him.
Henderson's getting a lot of hype right now, though. I think that's a guy that could end up getting a first-round pick.
For me, I'm going to give 2 just because one is a swing for the fences. One of them, I'm thinking the Raiders take a wide receiver with their first overall pick.
Whoa,
it's
that's
plus
really
2,000 odds.
That's not really against the fence, but that's a realistic plus 2,000.
It feels like it. They brought in Geno, so they've addressed their quarterback concerns for the short term. I know Geno's getting older, but you don't bring in Geno if you're going to take a shot on Shador.
Do they have to take it with the 6th, or can they come back up again?
Their first pick. Doesn't matter where, it's just their first pick.
Gotcha.
So I don't think that they go after quarterback there. They have I think that their next one that they want is Genty. And I don't think Genty falls to them. If they go up, he has to go up to go get the Raiders have to go up to go get him. I think that with Tom Brady being there, Pete Carroll being there, being very good offensive-minded coaches who know how to run the ball, like Tom Brady obviously being Tom Brady, Pete Carroll knowing how to find these guys, these values, and knowing how to build a roster, and no one other than Brock Bowers really being a true alpha on this receiving.
Like that.
Jacoby Myers is not an alpha. Like, he is a good number 2,
you tweet
borderline
that at
3
him right now. Tweet him right now.
If I had a Twitter, I would.
You blue sky him right now.
I will blue sky him tomorrow. No, but I think that if McMillan falls to the Raiders, it just makes too much sense for
I think he'd be
Pete Carroll and Brady to go, we want him.
I think he's the bust of all busts in Vegas.
I'm not saying it's going to be good for long term.
Yeah.
I'm saying in the same
long term, I don't think it's good at all.
I don't know. I don't think the Raiders don't look at him and go, we can make this work.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But shout out to the Raiders.
And then the other one I'm taking just because plus 2,000 is a heavy one for a pick of the day.
Give me another pick.
Is Matthew Golden. I think he gets drafted before Mikael Williams. It's plus 160. I think if the Raiders go and get McMillan, I think Golden makes the most sense for Dallas there.
Good receiver.
There's too much conversation on where these edge rushers, because a lot of them can move. Like they're just very similar in terms of potential.
Yeah.
So I think that between Williams, Stewart, or Walker, a lot of them could be slotted around. I'm going to take the chance on that and think Golden just ends up getting picked by Dallas. And we see Williams fall back a little bit, at least into like pick 15.
I like that. I like that pick a lot because Golden is one of these guys that some people are going to say he's the best receiver in the draft. To me, I like Higgins coming out of Iowa State. I like Mbeku coming out of Ohio State. To me, I don't think there's a receiver I'm taking in the first round in this draft.
There's not a lot that I'm like you need to.
Yeah,
because you'll find the value in day 2, possibly day 3.
I also like Luther Burden. That's
a whole nother situation.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Bust Picks. I know it's a long one, but remember, we're here every week. My name is Dio. That is Don. And remember,
pray for the parlay.